Hey everybody, welcome to Kathy's horse video number 2. I need to get the name of her horse from her. I'll get that for the next video. This is a compilation of October on the left and end of December on the right. And wait a minute, this looks like that's the, hold on, I gotta make sure this was labeled left front, but it looks like that could be the other front foot, which would make this the right front. Let me pause for a second and double check that. Okay, yeah, I had the wrong picture. All right, so you guys see what I see? I'm not sure where the center of the front foot is on the left photo, but it sure looks like things are starting to already improve quite a bit with the curvature of the lines from the left picture to the right picture. So I think you're doing a great job of taking more off in your pillars. I see a line there. So yes, you might need to take that little bit off under there, which is why these lines right here are pushed up. When these lines are pushed up, that means the hoof wall at the ground level is too long. And when the horse walks, there's no place for this hoof tissue to go because there's a leg here and a hairline here. So it just kind of jams up and pushes the hairline up. So you see that? The hairline starts to go up. That's an indication that your hoof is too long right underneath where that line arches up. I'm trying to think if that's the case all the time or if that means sometimes that you have a bound up foot. Most of the time the leverage spot is right below those arches. I cannot think of a time when it's not. If anyone else can, let me know. All right, so over here, same thing, but it's coming down. It's definitely not as pronounced, although it could be the camera angle, but if I was going to say, I would say it's less pronounced, because I'm sure you're probably taking a picture from straight on. I mean, duh, why wouldn't you, right? And there's your other line, so I definitely think that this is getting more even. So good job for you. And how she alleviated that was, you can see right here, I mean, you can see that there's too much right there. I can anyway. Hopefully you guys can, and how that's really coming along there. Good job. I love it when I can see correlations with the other angle as well. And when I look at this from the side, since I'm not there and I can't walk around the horse, right? So when I see something on the other side, the other view picture that correlates with what I thought I was seeing from the other view, it just gives me more confidence helping people long distance. And I see some correlation here happening with the lines from the side as well. You can see the laminae here are all really getting smushed forward, starting right in this area. They're supposed to be parallel with this line, and you can see that these are completely not. This goes way down to here, and it should be like going about like this. It should come back to about here. So that line over there should end about here. So let's see how it looks over here. And here's her line, I think where she was drawing right there. I'm not sure if she was drawing the cuff and bone line there or not. But either way, I do feel like this area is starting to open up a little bit from there, and these lines are starting to move back and be more equally spaced out. So that's awesome. And the hairline looks like it's lifting a little bit right here compared to right here. There's a big difference. Okay, see this spot here and this spot here. Now, I have noticed that with my camera angle, it can really make a difference on what this part of the foot looks like. So I can't tell for sure from just one picture what the differences are here to here. I'm not sure what this is. If you're trimming out something in there, maybe you can explain that to me. Here you see really thick periopal down to here. See that line? Really, really thick. You know why? Because the foot is being pulled off the leg when the horse is walking, because the front had too much hoof tissue, so every time it walked, it was placing leverage on the capsule, and when that happens, it starts to want to pull the foot right off the leg. So the horse builds lots of thick periopal here to make up for what should be nice solid hoof heel. Like, you know, this foot should be back to here and up to here. And so this part here has got to straighten up so that it ends back here. And when it's not there, the horse builds this thick periopal to try to hold itself together in the meantime. I don't see the periopal being as thick right there, but she could have thinned that out. That could be what she was doing right there, is that she was trimming this right here so that the bulb could move up and back. So we will, oh, I think maybe that's what she thinks I was talking about, because I was asking her, what was that notch? I was talking about this notch, and she said that was where she trimmed periopal. So I think she was talking about that notch. So I think I figured out what that is. Okay, let's look at, I can't tell for sure how much foot is behind the leg because the angle of the leg is so much different, this one to this one. But you want to look for things as your horse's leg is expanding, like cartilage is right here lifting and creating a really nice round bulge right here behind the foot. And it looks like I see more of that happening in this foot than this foot. So that's all positive progress, moving in the right direction. And we'll see what keeps happening on that. There's not a huge change happening here. So we'll keep going and look at some more videos as time goes on and keep following this horse and its progress. Okay, I'm using the sole shot from the right front because the left front had some adhesion, what do you call it? Adhesive on it and some hoof treatment stuff on it, so we couldn't really see the sole very well. So we're going to compare the before and after of the right front. This is from October 14th on the left and December 28th on the right. And we can see there's definitely something going on with this front hoof wall here. Here we could see there was some separation around the toe. And that is, I'm trying to think if I usually see a lot of separation around the toe. It's not common, but I did have a horse this spring that had a ton around here, and she had been left long in the toe for a few months before that. So that is what caused the separation to happen. So let me just look at that a little closer. That is a concern. But this is a post trim picture from what I can see here. And so let's look at this and see what is going on. And I have to make this one bigger. Ugh, I hate that when it does that. It goes back, it probably won't be bigger. There, it's bigger. Okay, so I see separation going on here. And then, wow. All right, I've never seen this before in a toe like that. So, but look at how it's gotten tight here. This is really tightened up. So what I would do with that is, there's your, I believe that would be the sole ridge. I need Linda sometimes to tell me some of the stuff up here in the tip of the toe. As far as if there's no sole ridge there that I can see. I can see the sole ridge when the sole ridge is there, but when the horse has just been filed off, I'm sometimes not sure if I haven't filed that horse, what I'm looking at here post-filing. So the sole ridge is probably going to be right in here if the horse's foot was left untrimmed for a long time. So we've got white line going on here. And we have major separation going. I guess I would probably, what I would probably do is I would measure from here to here, get my 1.5 inch mark. It looks like that's longer than 1.5 inches to me. So I would need to talk with you about this and find out how long this is. I would go, I would find my true apex, which is what you did, but I don't see your line at the 1.5 inch mark out from the apex. So if this is well out in front of that, then I would bevel it back to my line and I wouldn't worry about it. If it is at the line, then I would be very, very careful. And I would bevel, I don't, I don't know how to explain this, but a 90-degree angle. I mean, I take my file and I hold it sideways and I go this way, back and forth across the front of the tip of the toe and create a bevel. Just like a little flat bevel to help the crossover, the breakover on my horses. I don't know, Linda and I think we both call that beveling the edge, beveling the edge. You know, so I'm not going this way with my file. I'm going this way with the file. I'm holding it at a 90-degree angle. Get what I'm saying, you guys? I'm not filing hoof wall above. I'm just filing just a little bit at. I am filing hoof wall, but it's only a few millimeters, right? To take this hard 90-degree angle off right here, so that the horse's breakover is more comfortable. Most of my horses really like that. If I bevel from here to here, for sure, they really like that, and they don't trip as much when I'm riding them. So I just always do that. So rather than leaving that all messy like that, if it were me, I might be compulsed to trim that up a little bit and tighten that up a little bit. So I guess I need that input from you on the length of it there, but that's what I would do with either circumstance. We'd have to discuss that, why that broke off. Well, you know, it probably broke off because it was too long. I mean, it was probably too much length between here to here, but I know you've been trimming on a regular timeline, so I'd need that input from you there to know why that became damaged right there. If that was an abscess spot that just happened, and maybe you didn't even know about it and it just blew right out of there. But hopefully that's not a concern, because you're not asking me about it in the messaging. So we will see how that progresses from here. The hoof will obviously repair itself. It looks like everything is staying intact here, but we sure don't want that to be causing any issues down the road. Look how nice this is tightening up here. Wonderful, wonderful progress from last time. This side, it's improved. So when this is separated like this means it's been left too long right here. When this gets too long, it creates leverage when the horse walks, and it pulls this away from the sole. So that's just an indicator that you gotta keep your eye on this spot right here and make sure that you're not leaving that too long. Or it can also mean that the horse walks uneven after a week after being trimmed, and it'll wear down one side more than the other side. When I see my horse's feet doing that, I will even them out. I think it keeps their bodies more even, it keeps their hips more even, makes their bones line up better, and it makes them more comfortable, and then they want to walk straight more of the time. So it's less need for the chiropractor to come, right? So I think it's really important to keep a really diligent eye on what's wearing how. You can see how this is longer here as well. So this whole side is longer than this side, unless you left it that way when you filed it. Now that looks like you did. If this is a post-filing picture, looks like you left this longer, and that can be human error as well. We, with our eyes, we can think we're getting everything right? But we could have a hard side. For instance, this could be the side where you're standing over here and you're picking up the horse's foot, and you've got to pull the file toward you to do this side, and you can push away from yourself to do this side. You're going to maybe get this side a little better than that side. So you've got to watch your own self as well really closely with that, and make sure that you're getting enough off right in here, because this looks like it's left a little long and square right here, which can create leverage and issues down the road. And you've had a lot of that with this horse, with the lines really bowing up in the middle of the foot. So make sure you're watching for that. I see a ridge right here. I'm not sure. See, looks like the bar might have been up to here pre-trim. Not sure what's going on with that, but it also looks like this is your bar line here. So I don't know if you had huge flaps that you were taking out, or if you have a huge flap that you haven't taken all of it out, or if this is all the bar and that's just a funky little line right there, which probably is the case. But see that little line there. Just keep an eye on that. This has gotten, this looks like it's, from here to here. Let's see if we see. It looks like your heels are improving on this side for sure. Like you're getting a nice straight flat heel right here. And you don't have as much of a one here. It's more being pushed forward. So I like to create a nice flat landing pad right here for the horse to walk on so that buttress can go up nice and strong and the foot can expand backward. So I always try to help it do that by flattening off this part, flattening off this part. When I found, it looks like you've got a nice little flat line going on here. And then if it gets real hooked and wants to kind of curl and hook, then I trim that with my hoof knife and try to straighten that and try to straighten this so that the bar wants to relax and lengthen. Okay, we want to encourage it to lengthen out where the line is here and not curve up. Those bars, boy, they'll move in 2 days. So, I get it. And here, see, here's the post trim picture from, I think that's post trim. It doesn't look post trim though. Well, either way, we can still look at the bar and look like you're definitely improving on your bar on this side as far as how much you have taken off. It's gotten definitely, I can tell that you're tightening everything up and cleaning it up so it's nice live sole right there and you're not letting a big flap happen. You might be able to take off a little bit more right here and you might be able to turns out, look like you carved this out pretty good. Looks like you might be real good on this side and not as good on that side. Everybody's got a side, right? So make sure that you're not causing some of these issues by how you're trimming. It's kind of a, we don't know sometimes, is it us or is it the horse, right? So you can see how this side's a little bit more forward than that side from the angle of the camera. Looks like it was in this photo as well. This one's a little bit more tilted out. If the heel gets too long, it'll do that in like a second. So, horses don't walk evenly on things. It looks like you are getting it more even though. I'd say you're bringing this side down a little bit and you're keeping this side down where it goes. So it looks like good progress is being made there. I also really like what you're doing in here. You have a lot of excess frog right here. See how it's split apart? You got old frog on top right here. It looks like new frog growing underneath, so you could peel that whole thing off. If you start peeling with the hoof knife, you'll be surprised. It'll probably just peel right off. Looks like it's gone. I don't know if it's still there, and you've just been trimming it. Yeah, it looks like it's still there. You have to check and see that when the weather gets wet. When it's dry, you won't be able to get it off, but when it's wet, you might be able to just peel that whole thing right off right there. And then you've got this healthy new frog underneath. And the bulbs, looks like you've got a nice split right there, which is wonderful to me for what I know, is you want these guys to come apart and split apart and relax right here and right here. And you're definitely changing. Do you see how it doesn't look like it's changed a ton, but it looks like it's spreading some, definitely. So I think you're bringing everything on the right track. I would just keep a really close eye on the length of your hoof wall and make sure that you keep this nice and tight and that this tightens up for you. And like I said, unevenness in your trimming, is that causing an unevenness in the foot? I know if something gets left too long, like right here, I think I just might see, I'm not sure in the photograph if that's all the bar or if you've got more to take off. So Linda taught me to be a little bit more diligent with my bars than I was being. So like with this one being curved like that, you might be able to even take a little bit more out right here and give it the illusion that it is coming down more straight. So you unleash it from the sole right here even more so that it can come this way and lengthen and straighten out. So just imagine everything is cemented to everything else is cemented to everything else is cemented to everything else. So we're constantly dicking around with all these little spots to get everything to move the way we want it. Just like that puzzle game when we were kids, where everything had to move into a certain slot until all the colors were in the perfect order, right? That's what I think of when I think of the horse's foot. All right, let's look at a different view. Next, I noticed this stress point on the outside of the front right foot that I wanted to also look at. Here it is in October 14th of 2023, and here it is on December 28th of 2023. So you can see right there where the hoof split. That'll happen at the point where you have the most stress, where it's being left too long, the most important spot to file. You'll find it'll chip naturally. So it kind of takes care of itself, or it'll split right there. Well, now she's beveled right there to help that, to alleviate that. You can see this foot's got quite the wave to it right here. It's got a very big inner bulge happening because all this is smushed forward. And so it's bulging up inside. So imagine if the foot is out straight and you smush it together what's going to happen? The middle is going to bulge out, right? Like if this was a sponge and you put pressure here and here, you're going to have, this is where you're pressing with your hand and that's where you're pressing with your hand. It's going to bulge out right there. That's what the foot's doing. So this is really, 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 really my first important focus here is to get this to relax and expand so that you can take this pressure off the inside of the foot going on right here. And so I'm not sure what this is here, why this is lower and why this is higher. If you're filing it with a bevel that way or what. So I need a little bit more information from you on that. If that's your toe, you're marking the spot with the toe and then you're just filing that up a little bit. Just makes it look more exaggerated in the photo. That could be what's going on here, but I just wanted to address this because this whole fold right here was really noticeable to me. So what that means is, that means that you need to follow that to the ground and go, oh, look what's being left too long. I'd say it's your pillars or your toe quarters. So you definitely have to pay attention to this spot in the foot and make sure that you're taking enough off under there, which is why we talked about the string mapping. And I'll bring up that picture next. You had a question about the string mapping and if it was really right or not. Well, according to this big pressure point, it could definitely be right what you had mapped. So yeah, that's big. And of course we want this back here to be parallel with the front. So these lines here, instead of being so far forward, that's what's happening is all these lines are being pushed forward and they can only push so far when they start to hit the front of the foot. And the front of the foot's like, no, I'm not moving that way, dude. I'm staying here. Too bad. So sad. So, because we can't just push the whole foot over. So it gets pushed forward in the capsule and then it hits the front wall. So that's what's happening is the inner anatomy is getting pushed up into there. And I do have a picture for that. Let me see if I have it. I couldn't find what I was looking for, but I found some other things to show you. So this is a picture Linda posted where the heels weren't in the right spot. The coronary band goes all the way down. She was trimming the heels out of this horse. This can also happen if the heels are left too long and you're walking on your heel. So in your instance, that's more the case. What happened to your horse, in my opinion. So, but we can use the same picture here to show you where that wedge, that bulge is coming from right here on your horse. So when these lines here, this is collapsed down and under. Okay, there's two things that cause it to come down and under. Heels too long, heels too short. Pretty much cause this to get distorted. And you can have this tissue get pulled around tight and into. And I'm trying to think if there's anything besides too long or too short that can cause heels to contract. But pretty much it's one of those two things that causes the heels to contract as well. You can say or contracted heels, but contracted heels are a result of one of those two things happening previously to the horse. So this is supposed to be up an inch off the ground or higher than what it is now. And it's way down. So it's a great example to show you what's going on with these laminae in the back part of the foot. So they can't go like this. They're being smooshed down and forward. If this was a big sponge and it was straight and you pushed this down, when you push that down, what's it going to do to this part? It's going to get smooshed forward, right? Right. That's what's happening with this inner foot. This is the tissue, the laminae, that is the real foot of the horse, and it's distorted here, smushed forward, smushed forward, smushed forward. Then we trim below there, and what happens is the foot's like, I have nowhere to go but out. So it gets a bulge right in here. When this foot is kind of bulged right here. So the more this can go back, the more this lifts, the more there's room for all this to fit way back here, and you get another 30% of hoof capsule growing down back here, and pretty soon you've got a nice straight foot that goes back to here with a hairline up to here. Get what I'm saying? And I could do a markup, but you can see with my mouse. I don't have to trace that. You can see what I'm showing you. Okay, and then I want to show you, can't remember now, one more thing. I want to show you the difference between the one with the coronary band pulled down and the one where it's straight. See the difference? This is what we're aiming for. We're aiming for this so that this allows the lines to stay straight all the way across the foot. When this gets smushed down, what happens to these lines? They get smushed forward. So if your lines are getting more slanty as the foot goes back, that means you need to restore your foot to this state where this is lifted up. You have nice cartilages up here with a nice round back to the hairline versus a slanted down and under hairline here, see? And then your laminae are all going to be parallel all the way back to the heel. So that's what we're going toward. That's kind of what you've got going on now. And we're getting this to come back and stand up. And so is everybody else. It's a very popular problem. So that's all I wanted to touch on for video number 2. Hopefully that will answer your questions, Kathy. And we will see the exciting transformation as you continue on your journey. And I look forward to our next check-in. Have a great day, everybody.